This is the Multiorgasmic Millionaire Podcast, the only sex podcast for 7- and 8-figure conscious leaders who want to embody their pleasure and to have the best sex of their lives. I'm Tilly Storm, top 20 sex coach in the world, and your host today. All right, fun topic for today, people. This is all on sugar babies. What is really going on with the sugar baby movement? I live in Florida, South Florida, and I call it jokingly the land of sugar babies because I swear Miami is just a bunch of really young, hot women getting paid a lot of money to entertain and have fun with some really rich older men. So I really wanted to explore this topic of the whole sugar baby movement. Like, what the hell is this thing going on that seems to be getting more and more and more popular every single year? I almost did it myself when I was a single mom, just starting as a sex coach in 2018. I actually got on one of the sites. What was it called? I don't even remember the name of it, but it's one of the sugar baby sites, Seeking Arrangements. That's what it was. And I had my profile up. I met with 2 guys in person. We never came up to an arrangement because I think they realized I was way far advanced in my sexuality than they were, and they were scared of me. But I had been on the site for a little while, and I was entertaining the idea of doing it myself because I was a just brand new divorced single mom starting a business as a sex coach, and it would have been really freaking amazing to have had some financial support at that time in my life. And at the same time, I'm thankful I didn't, because it really was a thing that propelled me into the massive amount of success that I had early on right off the bat. So I'm grateful it didn't work out. But I'm telling this to you because I want you all to know that I am in absolutely no judgment to women who choose this sort of thing as their line of work. I went through sex coaching school with several people who'd been sex workers or who'd been strippers before, and they were seriously some of the most enlightened women I've ever known in my life, who were so empowered and amazing. And of course, there's a bunch of completely unconscious sex workers and strippers and sugar babies out there, but there are definitely some that are very, very high level, and I loved getting to know them and love having friendships with them. So anyway, why do women become sugar babies? They want money. They want a fun time. They like to flirt. They like sex. I don't know. I would think that they become sugar babies because for most of them, it's more of a means to an end. Like, they think, at least this was what it was going to be for me had I gone down that route and been successful with it, is that it was like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm already feeling amazing in my body and sexuality. I've reclaimed my inner slut, which I told you about on the previous episode. It all felt good to me. And I was approaching it from this completely conscious perspective of like, hell yeah, I can get paid for entertaining men, and I'm going to have an amazing time doing it. But what my immediate thoughts for most people, however, most women choosing to be sugar babies, have they done that level of work? Have they done that level of questioning and really exploring their own sexuality before they get into this? I don't know. But there are 3 questions that I really wonder about women choosing this line of work. And I had listened to a series of podcasts that Sarah Fraser did on her podcast. It's kind of like a very celebrity type podcast, and I don't listen to many of those, but I actually did some ads with her on her podcast, and some of you listening might have come from her podcast, so I just wanted to shout out that Sarah did this whole series of 8 different episodes on sugar babies where she interviewed them. And I remember listening to one of them where she had been a sugar baby for a while, and Sarah asked her point blank, do you enjoy the sex? And she said, you know, not really. It's just easier for me to get them off and to make them happy than to worry about me and my pleasure. And in that moment, my heart sank to the ground. Like, oh man, I was like, oh my God, this woman needs to come work with me. At that point, like, are you actually enjoying the sex? If you're not, it becomes more along the lines of exchanging money for an unpleasant time, or maybe something that you don't really even want. And yet women do that all the time, even in long-term relationships and marriages where they have sex out of obligation or just because they think it's for the man and that pleasure isn't for them. So they're just not going to focus on their pleasure because it's just easier to get him off. That type of thinking makes me so sad. Like, oh man, why do you do this to yourself? You do not have to do this. Pleasure is for you. Pleasure is for you. Let me show you how. So women getting into this line of work, I question if they're actually enjoying it, because I would think that the majority of them are, but also at the same time, I know that there are many women who aren't enjoying the sex. So is that really the best option for you? Probably not. The second question I have is like, are they really enjoying themselves flirting and getting to know these guys? Are they actually having fun? Or are they at a date and just feeling, oh God, I have to listen to a stupid or freaking boring story about how he became a millionaire again and blah, 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 blah. Like, I wonder what's actually going through their head when they are dating these guys, and if they're having fun flirting or not. Because if they're not, then I would hope that they would choose another line of work, because that seems like it would come across and maybe they wouldn't be as successful as a sugar baby, as opposed to women who are actually enjoying themselves, really authentically enjoying getting to know these guys and authentically enjoying sex with them. And the third question I have is like, are they choosing this line of work because it's integrity to that highest truth in being? And I would say that probably not for most women. I'm sure there's several of them out there who are like, yes, I was born and I was made for this, and I'm going to become a millionaire or even a billionaire because of it. Awesome. More power to you. And at the same time, I'd say that the majority of women doing it is probably not like their highest calling or what they feel that they're really here to do with their life. And that, is it really any different than being an Uber or Lyft driver in between careers or doing a side hustle? No, it's not. It's kind of the same thing. As long as you're enjoying your sex, as long as you're enjoying yourself, getting to know these people, then why not use it as a bridge job? Why not use it as something that can help you get to the next level and help you get where you really want to go? Or, maybe you're just using this job as settling because you don't feel that you're worthy or good enough to do what you actually want to do. Well, I would say that that's a lot of people, that people really question that about themselves all the time. And people in like food delivery service jobs, these sorts of things, the gig economy, because that's been such a thing the last 3 years, especially. I would say that being a sugar baby, like, there's no problem with it if that is your stance, that, well, I'm enjoying the sex I'm having while I'm doing it. I only say yes when I really mean it, and I have no problem saying no when I don't want it. And I'm actually enjoying myself flirting and getting to know all of these new people, and I'm enjoying making money doing it. Then freaking more power to you. Amazing. Use it as a bridge job. So anyway, short, sweet, quick hit episode on sugar babying. I think it's great for some women. It's a great choice. And at the same time, I wouldn't say that it's a long-term calling or something that they're going to want to choose forever. But yeah, why not make it something that you can continue to move your career forward, move your situation forward, and really create the life of your dreams. And for those of you sugar babies out there that may have found this episode wondering, yeah, Tilly, you got me thinking, I'm really not enjoying the sex. I'm really doing it just for them, like that one that I heard from Sarah Fraser on her podcast. Please fill out a sex goddess quiz and take me up on the pleasure assessment call, because we need to talk. You get to experience pleasure. You get to experience fun and joy and feeling amazing in your body and sexuality. And if you're struggling with boundaries, with saying no when you really want to say no, and you're having a hard time speaking up for yourself and sharing what's true for you, then it's time to find your voice. It's time to find who you are as a sexual woman and a sexual creature. And in all honesty, you do not need to be sugar babying if that's what you're doing, because you're hurting yourself. You're creating little t traumas inside of your body that if you continue to say yes when you don't really mean it, and you continue to do things out of obligation and do sexual favors for people in exchange for money that are not fun for you, you are traumatizing yourself. You are traumatizing your body. You're creating more stuck and stagnant energy inside that's shutting down the flow of life force energy within you, and you're only going to end up more harmed and more trauma and more conditioning than you were before you started this job. So for any of you out there who have done this and you're not enjoying yourself, let's talk. All right, so next week, you're going to see a big shift and change in the direction I'm going with the podcast, only because we are going to be opening up some medicine retreats. Sex, money, and medicine retreats. What do you mean by medicine, Tilly? I mean plant medicines. Oh yes. I have partnered with my dear friend Elizabeth, who is a sacred sacrament facilitator, and she helps people to really use these medicines to create a major shift and change in their life, to really help them find their purpose and deeper meaning in what they're doing. And when we pair plant medicines alongside our sexual hangups and issues, and when we pair them alongside our money blocks and our money issues, then we have this opportunity, this super amazing opportunity to heal and integrate sexual and money wounds and traumas so quickly. In fact, we can heal them in 5 days, what would take most people a decade in therapy or in coaching to heal. So I'm a huge believer in plant medicines. I went on my own journey with them this entire past year in 2022, and I continue to explore and to play with them and learn how to use them in a really conscious way to create more healing and transformation for myself. And with that, my boyfriend who does money, he's a financial freedom coach, and he has a podcast called The Financially Free Entrepreneur. Him and our friend Elizabeth, we're going to be hosting a sex, money, and medicine retreat in July. So I'm going to be interviewing Chris, my partner, on the podcast for next week. And then the following week will be Elizabeth and how she works with plant medicines. And then the week after that, we'll have all three of us to tell you about these retreats that we're going to be hosting. It's not just going to be one. We're going to do several of them ongoing, but we're going to start with the one in July. And I'm super excited to share all of that with you and what we're going to be offering. All right, take care. Bye. Want to become an embodied sex goddess? Of course you do. Take the Sex Goddess quiz today and find out how. Click link in show notes or head to bit.ly/sex goddess quiz to get started.